try. For anybody who doesn't believe me, go check out the VOD. Hunting Horn actually seemed to put out a lot more damage than I thought it would. It might have been because of the attack up small buff, along with self-improvement. I also felt like the extra iframes you got from having self-improvement and such actually really helped out in this fight a ton. But for the most part, I really was just spacing out Arkveld and trying to hit him with some of the good damaging attacks with Hunting Horn, like the primary attack button, triangle on PlayStation, or the overhead swing attack. But that's not all I tried to do. I really tried to make use of Hunting Horn's new mechanic, the Echo Bubbles, and through the Echo Bubbles, you're able to queue up a few different notes at a time, which helps speed up the process of getting our melodies so much faster. And I did go through this fight trying to land a few offset attacks, but without enough practice, they didn't amount to much. However, I did get one successful offset attack, and oh man, it felt so good. Oh! That's what I've been waiting for! Something else I also noticed is that the Echo Bubbles actually do a ton of damage on impact. They'll do a straight 42 damage, which is equivalent to like a Greatsword Swing 1 charge attack. Now, you only have 3 of these bubbles that you can place down at a time. However, Arkveld is such a huge monster that hitting him with the Echo Bubbles after effect of playing notes and just swinging your Hunting Horn around in general actually added up to be a ton of damage. Now, it was still kind of a close call. We had to use a little bit of environment, some rocks and some crystals, and we also actually had to capture Arkveld. As I said before, some of these weapons really came down to the wire, and I was scared of not getting the hunt done in general. I feel like I was actually close to getting the kill, but I didn't want to risk having to do Hunting Horn over again in this challenge run I did. But Hunting Horn on Arkveld, to my surprise, was mostly using the Echo Bubbles for damage, but to wrap up the real Hunting Horn solo experience, it really was about getting the damage through the Echo Bubbles, just placing well-timed attacks on the head, not getting too greedy, and in moments where you could be greedy on a well-timed knockdown, doing your orchestra and pressing R2 to get even more damage in the middle of the actual orchestra string and between the melodies being played. And honestly, I feel like if I ran Hunting Horn solo again, even just a few times, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have actually had to capture Arkveld. I probably could have killed him, but this was me going in kind of blind and knowing just a few things with the Hunting Horn. So, Hunting Horn was surprisingly good. Woo! Yeah, environment main! Environment! Yeah, baby!
Now
we have...
I'm a really big fan of this game.
Switch Axe actually proved to be a little bit difficult. Switch Axe is one of those weapons that Capcom did address, saying that they're going to bump up some of the damage on the equipment, but we don't know exactly what the end product is going to be of the tune-up that they're going to give Switch Axe. The Switch Axe experience really did feel like the best of both worlds scenario, though, where you are actually actively switching between sword mode and axe mode. New in Monster Hunter Wilds is the ability to recharge sword mode while you swing your axe. You actually get a lot of gauge back from it, specifically from the attacks. And sword mode is where all the good damage was, of course, with Switch Axe. Now, Switch Axe actually was a little bit frustrating for me on the live stream. Sword mode has a new counter attack, which is actually super helpful, I think, in a lot of situations, except for the part where Arkveld deals a ton of damage to you, regardless of whether you got the perfect counter or not. Now, this proved to be extremely frustrating, as I felt I was getting punished for actually landing one of the new mechanics on the Switch Axe. Getting punished by taking damage while landing that counter didn't feel as good compared to perfect blocking with a lot of the normal weapons, which pretty much reduce damage to absolute nothing, or depending on the attack, if it's a huge attack from a monster, a perfect block on any shielding weapon significantly reduces the damage that you take. However, on Switch Axe, with the sword mode having this new counter attack, I do understand the idea that maybe it's a high risk, high reward, and in certain situations, because sword mode is so offensive, using this counter could be actually super beneficial to Switch Axe's gameplay. However, sword mode is very offensive, and to perfectly time that, you have to be willing to take a huge hit if you mess up. Therefore, I do think Switch Axe could use a little bit of a bump up in this department with the perfect counter on the Switch Axe sword mode. But there is another argument that could be made where Switch Axe actually does have an offset in the axe form. I was only able to get this once, and it was actually kind of a funny story. I was asking chat how to do offset attack with Switch Axe, and one of my longtime viewers actually told me how to do it. And within 10 seconds, I landed a perfect offset attack on Arkveld right.
What is an offset attack anyway?
I'd rather just time a well-timed off swing, or, you know, upswing. Okay, yes.
I don't know what that is.
I
Is that like a parry or something?
Oh, Matthew, thank you. Oh. It was at that point that I understood that Switch X actually has a lot more going for it than meets the eye, but the damage numbers do feel pretty undertuned in this beta, and I know that a lot of Switch X mains have agreed with me in the past on that, and I think that that still rings true even for this beta, as we still don't have those changes yet. But all in all, I stopped using the counter in sword mode, and I opted to just try to play very evasive and to just
Pull
dodge
my
attacks.
pants up, because my pants are up, right? So like the thing is, bro, I'm like working on something in front of me, so I really gotta be locked in, gang.
I tried to get in as many sneak attacks as
There we
possible,
go.
as that does get your axe mode powered up from the get-go, and switching to sword mode whenever I could and whenever I had meter to try to expend some really good damage and just try to dodge through a lot of Arkfeld's attacks. This, combined with using a little bit of environmental damage, landed us a capture on Arkfeld in 18 minutes and 39 seconds. Woo! Yeah, if he left, he would have screwed me up. Because he would have gone either to sit down or all the way to nest, and I think it takes like a whole minute from here to go over to the nest. Next up, we have Insect Glaive. Insect Glaive was another weapon we actually got it done with first try. A lot of us were pretty disappointed with Insect Glaive in the first beta, I remember, but I've actually learned through a lot of the members in my community who are Insect Glaive mains and pretty much like connoisseurs, that Insect Glaive actually has a lot more going for it than meets the eye. However, I do think that is shined more in single player, because when we get the wound strikes with Insect Glaive specifically, you're able to get all of your Kinsect buffs with one focus strike on a wound. Having the red buff was the most important thing, and with Switch X's new charging ability of the secondary attack button, I found that with Insect Glaive, it mostly was a chore of holding down the focus mode, holding down the secondary attack button, letting loose a lot of primary attack buttons, and really just trying to be on Arkveld's sides for the most part and targeting his arms and his chains, and letting go of the secondary attack button for the big damage that you get from the charge from the red buff Kinsect buff. Oh, that was a mouthful. But Insect Glaive actually proved to be a pretty good weapon against Arkfeld, because you were able to remain very mobile. Arkfeld is a huge monster, as we've talked about before. He's also extremely fast and has a ton of range. Therefore, using Insect Glaive's mobility through the air, and not even having our bounces yet, which are going to be changed in the actual release of Monster Hunter Wilds, Insect Glaive actually felt like it did pretty decent damage. But I think that the key here was to hold on to your red buff as long as you could. Throughout the entirety of this fight, though, I did mostly keep full on all of my Kinsect extracts. The only time I'd go for the Ascending Slash with Insect Glaive, which expends all of your buffs, but your Kinsect flies around and gathers a bunch of buffs in return and returns at least a couple of them back to you. Well, usually. I typically would only do that when there was a wound. Now this ties back into what I mentioned before, where Insect Glaive gets all the Kinsect extracts and buffs on a wound strike, of course. So in multiplayer, everybody's trying to hit the wounds, and you know, to their credit, because everybody wants to get the parts and the damage for everybody, of course. Every weapon has its own unique benefit to getting these wound strikes, however, but with Insect Glaive, it's kind of important that you do get the wound strikes to get those Kinsect's buffs much faster, and as you do expend all of your buffs doing the Rising Slash with the Insect Glaive, it feels kind of bad in multiplayer if you don't have a wound to actually get all your buffs back, because it's not guaranteed to get all your buffs back after this Rising Slash. However, in single player, as long as you have a few wounds, you can make use of all of your buff time and then re-up on all your buffs. Therefore, Insect Glaive was pretty decent, I thought. However, I was lacking a little bit on the damage in the end, so with some environmental damage and another capture, we were able to secure the W on Insect Glaive. No, I didn't get this.
I know, now you go to sleep. I'm doing something. Okay, but I love you.
Let's go!
Yeah, go ahead and shower. And go to sleep. Kind of slide back on.
Where are you going? Our first ranged weapon of the video, light bow gun. Absolutely broken in the right hands.
Now, what was I?
Light bow gun, I know, is extremely strong. No, and then re-up on all your buffs. Therefore, Insect Glaive was pretty decent, I thought. However, I was lacking a little bit on the damage in the end, so with the use of some environmental damage and another capture, we were able to secure the W on Insect Glaive. No, I didn't get this one. Let's go!
What? I mean, done.
Weapon of the video, light bow gun. Absolutely broken in the right hands. Not my hands, though. Light bow gun, I know, is
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie.
strong.
My pants OD too tight, bro. Be right back.
First beta happened to have some of the fastest speedrun times, if I remember correctly. Now, at first, I started this quest off by playing around with light bow gun a little bit, seeing what damage actually was the best, but it did seem to just be the normal ammo. Making use of the normal ammo, shooting the head and the arms and the chains of Arkveld, along with utilizing the rapid fire energy, we were able to put out some pretty consistent DPS. However, there was one trap that I kept falling into. Rapid fire energy was shown in the trailers to be this awesome new mechanic with the light bow gun, and it still is awesome in my opinion. Rapid fire energy enhances the ammo that you're shooting, making it an even bigger burst fire, and it also makes it so that when you dodge, you actually fire off some shots. You can even fire off a chaser shot, which is done at the end of a pseudo combo with the light bow gun's rapid fire energy. It does do more damage in the long run. However, Arkveld is just so fast, it actually proved to be a bit difficult to actually land this a lot of the time. Halfway through the fight, I did start to actually opt for using rapid fire energy, but just firing it like it was still my light bow gun. I wasn't trying to go for the rapid fire energy dashes for the extra damage while moving and stuff like that, which I was trying to force in the beginning of the fight. Through firing it like it was just this typical light bow gun still, I found it was actually much more manageable to actually get the victory on Arkveld than trying to replicate what some of the expert players do with this weapon. This combined with making use of the light bow gun's wound attack, which is basically a lob or a noob tube, if you will, put out a ton of damage, along with utilizing the special ammo of the Wyvern Blast with the light bow gun. So all in all, the light bow gun is actually a pretty comfortable weapon to get this challenge done with. I think if you just go for the tried and true rapid fire normal ammo over and over and over on the chains or the head, and you just make sure to expend your rapid fire energy but not try to go for the cool flashy stuff that is tied to that energy meter, this fight actually becomes pretty simple at the end of the day, and some may even say trivial if you're good at movement and knowing the spacing that you need to not get hit by a lot of Arkveld's attacks. This combined with using some environmental damage, because I lost a lot of time in the first half of the fight trying to go for the cool flashy stuff. To secure the victory, we did have to capture Arkveld once again. But hey, a W is a W, right? Woo! Okay, thank goodness. Ooh. Next up, we have Heavy Bowgun.
This is my boy.
Clapped Arkveld, man. Heavy Bowgun having the ability to have the perfect guard on it and not just like the automatic guarding whenever you have your Heavy Bowgun out actually made this fight so easy. With your Palico healing you intermittently and by significantly reducing damage that you take if you can land perfect guards on Arkveld over and over, Heavy Bowgun actually just was basically the same thing as Light Bowgun, where the main name of the game was normal ammo. Dealing about 18 damage per shot with the Heavy Bowgun and having 7 rounds in your clip added up to be a ton of damage that was extremely consistent if you knew when to stop shooting and when to block. This combined with using the Heavy Bowgun special ammo, which is the Wyvern Heart. The only thing that was actually a little bit concerning was just knowing when to stop firing your Wyvern Heart or running out of your Wyvern Heart's clip and getting forced into a reload, which could actually put you in danger, which happened to me a few times on Arkveld. But after learning my lesson a few times of getting clapped by Arkveld while I ran out of ammo in the Wyvern Heart, I wisened up and actually started taking out the special ammo clip myself and dictating when I would run out of it or not. But with all that aside and our main game plan out of the way, we did still opt to use some environmental damage. However, Heavy Bowgun actually has sleep ammo attached to it in this beta. Therefore, we pulled some shenanigans on Arkveld. We actually lured him right underneath a rock in the cavern right below base camp. And if any of you don't know out there, whenever you hit a monster while it's sleeping, the first instance of damage that it receives is actually doubled. So, being a prepared hunter, we decided to lure it right under the rock, force it into a trap to make sure that we got the sleep ammo on him, and put him to sleep directly under the rock, adding to huge damage, ladies and gentlemen. So after all the environmental damage and the normal ammo, we followed Arkveld out to the desert, where we did have to capture him again. I'm just kidding, ladies and gentlemen. We killed him! We killed him! Our first weapon on this video! Yeah, Heavy Bowgun! We killed him with it in a time of 17 minutes and I can't remember how many seconds. But a kill was a kill and not a capture, so... Next up, we have Charge Blade. This weapon was so broken against Arkveld, I could not believe it. Perfect Guard is such a broken mechanic on some of the weapons, and it rings so true on Charge Blade that it's actually better to Perfect Guard things than to guard point. And guard pointing is like one of the main mechanics in Charge Blade. Now, as some of you may or may not know, we have SAED playstyle and a Savage Axe playstyle, and that has remained true in Monster Hunter World and even in this game as well. However, the Savage Axe mode
Oh shoot, I didn't check if you guys could hear it.
Performs an SAED playstyle by a ton of damage. It's not even funny, ladies and gentlemen, how broken Savage Axe mode is compared to SAED. However, there are some requirements to actually activating Savage Axe. A couple of the easiest ways to activate Savage Axe is to hit a wound strike, or you simply need to get a Perfect Guard on a monster. Perfect Guard is probably the easiest way to activate Savage Axe, as you just get the Perfect Guard and then you press and hold triangle to activate it. Simple as that. No energy required whatsoever. So the game plan against Arkveld was truly getting our energy and storing it into our shield, which still buffs Savage Axe's damage a ton. Then I opted to fill my vials, and then with Axe form, I just press circle, the secondary attack button, over and over and over again. The damage on Charge Blade was absolutely disgusting. And when you do play Charge Blade, your hunter actually takes a couple steps forward when they do certain attacks with Charge Blade. Arkveld is such a big monster that Charge Blade's huge, massive, wide AoE swings with Savage Axe mode were absolutely decimating his chains, his head. We got 2 knockouts on this dude, I think, maybe 3, and all while not getting hit, because every single step we took forward while doing these attacks would place us under his body just enough to not get hit by some of his attacks, which basically target directly in front of him. This was such an absolutely easy thing to do, and I'm not even very proficient with Charge Blade in Monster Hunter Wilds yet, at least. But even so, these core fundamentals of just getting the charge in our Charge Blade with the vials, making sure our shield was charged, and being able to activate Savage Axe on a moment's notice with any Perfect Guard or breaking a wound on Arkveld basically meant that we had Savage Axe the entire time. Now Tara, if this damage was so good, does this also mean that you killed Arkveld and didn't have to capture it? You are correct, but guess what? Arkveld wasn't even allowed to leave the first area because this shit was so strong. I killed him before he even had the chance to leave, to go to the desert, to go up top to the cliff sides, whatever. It didn't matter. We only had 1 rock environmental damage on him, and it was enough, along with all the Charge Blade damage that we did, or Savage Axe damage, should I say. We got a kill so fast. We got it done in under 15 minutes, and this was with me.
I think I'm gonna kill the bow guy. I think I'm gonna play the bow tonight.
It was an absolutely crazy weapon, and I can't believe how strong Savage Axe is. I'm not asking Capcom to nerf it. I just like you guys to probably buff SAED to match it a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. Wow!
I don't even know what SAED is.
Godlike run, ladies and gentlemen. Damn, just straight ass beating. Next up, Gunlance. Now, Gunlance, ladies and gentlemen, was an absolutely broken weapon again, just like Charge Blade. Gunlance's damage is absolutely ridiculous. This is again the result of perfect guarding. Perfect guarding, actually having a counterattack with all weapons that can perfect guard, is how we got such amazing DPS uptime on Arkveld with the Gunlance. Now with Gunlance, we opted to not do any thrust attacks whatsoever. We did not do any normal shelling. All we did was our primary really long attack combo that has full bursts included in it, along with expending our worm stake cannons in the middle of those combos, and depending on the moment or not, using a Wyvern's Fire right after those combos, which actually acts as a shortcut to fire off that Wyvern's Fire. Wyvern's Fire, if you are close enough, does at minimum 200 damage to Arkveld every single time. And Gunlance, believe it or not, is actually pretty deceptive in when you can guard. Some of the recovery on some of these attacks can actually just be canceled near the end of the attack animation, and you can get a perfect guard, which does land you a straight overhead slash, which acts as a shortcut to get into that really strong damaging combo. Now, you are a little bit vulnerable against Arkveld when you are doing the full burst into the Worm Stake Cannon. However, you're normally doing so much damage in the opportune moments with it that that I actually just staggered him before he even had a chance to hit me a lot of the time. And the times that I did get hit while I was doing this, it wasn't really a big deal.
I think Perfect Guard's pretty cool.
Sacred picked us up.
I like rolls and Perfect Guards.
Jumped right back in. All of this
and stuff like that
the focus
in these games.
Aim our attacks in circle, Arkveld the entire time.
Did you guys see the new
little bit of environmental
Elden Ring?
Ladies and gentlemen, landed us a kill.
Roguelike it looks like?
In under 16 minutes.
Looks like a roguelike.
This is the finisher. Was that the finisher? Dude. What an ass beating, dude. Next up, Hammer. Hammer was at first. Then this weapon was absolutely broken. Although I did not know it at first. This is the first weapon I actually took in and wasn't able to get it done first try. I spent a whole 17 to 18 minutes, if I remember correctly, just struggling to get enough damage in on this guy. The damage just felt so undertuned on Hammer, and 90% of viewers also agreed with me when I was playing. Some of the starting hits of Hammer landed only 7 damage, which is even less than some of Sword and Shield's attacks, which just felt wrong somehow. I've stood by the idea that the damage from Hammer actually feels pretty undertuned in the Monster Hunter Wilds beta. And so I struggled this first quest and just could not get it done, and I had to actually change my strategy of what I was doing. Let's talk about that strategy in the first quest that I failed. I didn't really actually have a strategy. I went in and I did a lot of the new Hammer mechanics that we did have present in Monster Hunter Wilds. Utilizing the hook slinger to move around to get the charge attacks, getting full charge attacks on his head, and going into spinning bludgeon. And
hey, what's going on, Rizzy? How you doing?
Absolute mighty power.
I'm doing something, but my girl's in the damn stream, so I can't share what I'm doing.
Every single time I was able to get it on impact, but every little bit of damage.
So I'm looking at the Monster Hunter beta before I start playing it. What I do what I'm doing.
Did not end up to anything at all. He stayed in the first main area for so long.
She acting like she's not here.
Failed the quest, and he was only leaving at that 18-minute mark to go move to the next area, which is what told me I needed to abandon the quest. Now, in the next quest, I decided to change up that I nearly failed the quest, and he was only leaving at that 18-minute mark to go on impact, but every little bit
lurking, yeah.
I felt like I was charging up and getting some damage in here and
so
there.
I can't share what I'm doing just yet.
Swing actually just
I'm doing something pretty lit, I won't lie to you.
He stayed in the first
just take some pictures
for so long that I nearly failed the quest, and he was only leaving at that 18-minute mark to go move to the next area, which is what told me I needed to abandon the quest. Now, in the next quest, I decided to change up my strategy and to just go ham on him with some normal attack combo strings. And with the help of another viewer backing that info up, the biggest damage that you seem to get from Hammer was any upswing in any combo. So I opted to just do the typical primary attack combo to get the upswing, but that's not all. The other biggest damaging attack was actually the Mighty Swing, but you can only go into the Mighty Swing charge after getting an upswing or a few other moments as well. Therefore, I just did primary attack combo over and over again, and I'd go straight into the upswing if I had the moment to do it. This landed me so much stagger, many knockouts on Arkveld. After doing this main strategy of attack over and over, we got some cool highlights with the Hammer that were actually extremely damaging, a little bit of environmental use, and we landed a kill, not a capture on Arkveld with the Hammer. Oh, sit down! Oh, sit down!
I wonder if people would talk like that while playing single-player games. I should say single-player games. Well, like PvE games. I wonder if they talk like that when they play multiplayer games.
I do still have some issues with this weapon. Capcom, if you are listening, I think it needs a damage tune-up for a lot of the other things that aren't this primary attack combo, where it's just normal attack combo into golf swing into mighty charge. The Hammer feels like it's such a mobility monster and has such cool combos that are actually tied to it now that it almost feels like a shame that we don't use a lot of the moveset if we want to get out the good damage with Hammer, when it has so many new things that are going on for it that they get overshadowed by just how much damage this does, which isn't crazy broken, but it's so much stronger than everything else that there is little to no point in doing everything else. So all in all, Hammer is super clean. A little bit of a damage tune up to some of its other attacks though. Please Capcom, please. Lance. Lance was absolutely disgusting. This is another case of being an absolute perfect guard monster machine of a weapon. Whenever you get a perfect guard, you get a little shield bump, which does a significant amount of damage, 18 damage in the right spots, if I remember correctly. But not only this, you go straight into your typical thrusting attack combos with Lance. This combined with the wide sweep in the middle of these attack combos doing significantly more damage than your thrusts in this game. This combined with finishing full combos with the triple thrust attack and being able to guard at a moment's notice with Lance, even in the middle of the triple thrust attack. We just stuck to Arkveld like glue. It's pretty much the exact same thing in Monster Hunter Wilds like it was in Monster Hunter World against something like Fatality with the spots. Little shield bump, which does a significant amount of damage, 18 damage in the right spots, if I remember correctly. But not only this, you go straight into your typical thrusting attack combos with Lance. This combined with the wide sweep in the middle of these attack combos doing significantly more damage than your thrusts in this game. This combined with finishing full combos with the triple thrust attack and being able to guard at a moment's notice with Lance, even in the middle of the triple thrust attack. We just stuck to Arkveld like glue. It's pretty much the exact same thing in Monster Hunter Wilds like it was in Monster Hunter World against something like Fatalis or even some of the toughest monsters in that game. Lance is an absolute machine of a monster where the best offense is indeed the best defense. And especially with the perfect guard as a new mechanic in this game, which is an absolute broken mechanic, destroying Arkveld with this weapon was an absolute cakewalk. I even bet that if you've never played the Lance before, and even if you are a little bit decent with perfect guarding or having good timings and understanding Arkveld, if you're able to just hold focus mode down, get some perfect guards, and match the primary attack button on Arkveld in the right spots, I think that even an inexperienced player, when it comes to the Lance, could get the solo victory on this guy. Otherwise, there wasn't really much to say with Lance. Getting some of the focus wound strikes did prove to be a little bit challenging, but Lance was an absolute beast of a monster where you were just able to sit there the entire time and do your thing. It was absolutely insane, man. And I gotta be honest, I know that they're giving a little bit of a tune-up to Lance in Monster Hunter Wilds as well when on the full release after the testing of the first beta, but after fighting Arkveld with this weapon, I felt like it wasn't actually necessary at all. However, I'm not saying that they shouldn't bump it up. I'm going to be extremely happy with whatever changes they make to it that are beneficial for it, of course, because this weapon already felt actually pretty good. So if it gets a little bit of a bump up, I could easily see this being one of the best weapons to use in Monster Hunter Wilds on a tier list or anything like that. With all of that and getting a little bit of environmental damage, we were able to kill Arkveld with the Lance, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I got the capture with a lot of the other weapons, and on this weapon, you might have thought that I had to capture him. Nope. We killed him. He didn't even make it to the desert, although he did make it up to the cliffside and, you know, he got his ass beat by some crystals, but it was mostly me beating his ass with Lance the entire time. Ooh, yeah, I guess Hammer does do pretty decent damage, huh? Look at that. Next up, my main weapon in the Monster Hunter series, although depending on the changes, I'm not sure if I'm gonna main it in Monster Hunter Wilds anymore, the Sword and Shield. The Sword and Shield run came right after the Lance run, and there was one thing I already knew going into this fight. Sword and Shield is pretty lackluster in the Monster Hunter Wilds beta. Specifically, the Perfect Rush doesn't really do very much damage and is kind of not worthwhile because you are pretty vulnerable when you're doing Perfect Rush. It's also very easy to get carried away, trying to get the perfect timings on the Perfect Rush, but also trying to be on the lookout to cancel Perfect Rush to go into a guard. It just didn't seem to be worth it very much.
That sounds, yeah, it's probably not worth it, but that sounds like the fun of the game. Sounds like he just explained the fun.
Most of the time, we pretty much just did typical triangle attacks and strafed Arkveld all over the place.
That's the funny thing about like players in general. You ever hear that if given the time, that players will optimize the fun out of gaming? You ever hear something like that?
Got us power clashes, leading to Doshiguma's might attack buff. We got a lot of perfect guards into actual solid counterattacks with Sword and Shield, which also did damage to Arkveld if we started to get the charged chop before he drew his chains away. The damage would still incur, so there were actual legitimate damage setups with Sword and Shield. Utilizing perfect block having good fundamentals and just strafing the hell out of Arkveld meant that we were able to use a very undertuned sword and shield in the Monster Hunter Wilds beta. Truth be told, we had 1 minute left in the quest, and I think that I was actually very, very close to killing Arkveld. However, he stopped at a place that was before his final resting and sleeping place, and with 1 minute on the clock, I opted to not have the chance for him to jump up, maybe miss a flash pod or a luring pod to keep him in the area. So I made a judgment call and I decided to capture him. Woo! Okay, I think I could have killed him, but I didn't want to risk him flying to nest and me not hitting a flash pod or a luring pod. Yeah. So, Sword and Shield with good fundamentals, super awesome. Capcom has addressed, though, that they are buffing Sword and Shield in certain ways. I'm not really sure if it's been addressed yet or not, because so far it's pretty lackluster in the damage department. However, I think that Sword and Shield is going to be super viable and a really good weapon with the buffs that they're going to be providing to Sword and Shield on the full release of Monster Hunter Wilds. Next up, a weapon that they actually are nerfing from the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, and I really don't agree with the nerf. I feel like you should just bump all the other weapons up to its level, but that's okay. The bow! Bow has a very simple game plan of making sure that you have power coatings at all times and utilizing your tracer arrows. Anytime you fire a tracer arrow into Arc,
Yeah, I heard this thing is good.
All of your arrows home in
The
on
bow?
the tracer arrow, and they also do more
That's all
damage.
I'm playing. I'm gonna
Then
try
we're
it.
doing the 3-fire combo of utilizing the bow's normal shots. We're going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. From there, doing a power shot using the secondary attack button, ended up using 4 of our bow's power coating. Whenever you use power coating, you do get 8 coated arrows. With the amount of time that the tracer arrow does stick into the monster, and from the damage that you get from it, this allowed enough time to get 4 full combos on Arkveld, with each arrow doing about 8 to 10 damage, give or take. You don't need to be a mathematician to know that this damage is absolutely insane. Now, the truly strong damaging attack from the bow is the focus attack. Whenever a wound was presented on Arkveld, utilizing the arc shot after a wound has presented itself will fire a volley of tracer arrows into Arkveld. From there, utilizing the focus attack, the focus fire hailstorm, ended up in a ton of damage, homing in on all the tracers and the wounds at the same time, which also led into an automatic dragon piercer, ladies and gentlemen, which does huge damage, absolutely nuts damage. Might be why they're nerfing the bow, honestly. But utilizing some well-timed perfect dodges and not panicking, using our arc shot when wounds presented themselves for the focus fire hailstorm, and the simple tactic of utilizing our power coating, firing off tracer shots, and doing our 1, 2, 3, 4 combo into Arkveld, and utilizing some environmental damage, of course, and following him to the area before his final resting place, we were able to get the kill on Arkveld in under 18 minutes. Oh! Nice! Not bad, not bad. Minute 52. I can't believe they're nerfing bow. Next up, the longsword. Longsword is definitely back and better than ever in Monster Hunter Wilds. However, on a lot of Arkveld's attacks, I felt like getting the Foresight Slash wasn't enough to actually get our meter up, but Longsword overall wasn't actually that hard of a challenge. Longsword is definitely stupidly strong in Monster Hunter Wilds. I don't think it's necessarily broken or that it needs a nerf or anything, but Longsword just has so many tools and ways of getting its meter now that it's actually kind of hard to choose what is the best way to do it. For players who are familiar with Monster Hunter World, it was always about getting a perfect Foresight Slash into the round slash to get a gauge of meter immediately. In Monster Hunter Wilds, this still remains true, but Arkveld is very fast and he jumps around the place a ton. Landing the Foresight counter was easy enough, but not getting the follow-up after it meant that you couldn't go straight into the round slash. So I had to think of other ways to get my spirit meter up. So I did opt to use the new method of holding down the R2 button to charge up the spirit gauge and go straight into a round slash. However, this took a significant amount of time, so by the time that I was able to get it, sometimes it would just flat out miss. But once I did get that red gauge, I would just go ham on Arkveld. But I wouldn't just go straight into Helm Splitter into the new attack. No, instead I actually tried for the new method of longsword play, which is to utilize the red gauge, which decreases automatically, and try to land the Helm Splitter attack combo near the end of the red gauge. The red gauge actually buffs a lot of your basic attack combos with longsword, as many of you may know, and makes you very mobile. So utilizing this and utilizing focus mode, I tried for another strategy, which is just basic fundamentals.
How come you can't lock onto the monster?
Arkveld all day using focus mode and just match the primary attack button and the spirit combo. And like I said, following that up with the red gauge nearly being at its limit and hitting a helm breaker and going straight into the follow-up attack after that resulted in tons of damage. But this is another example in a case of you don't need to be really good at landing these super strong hitting attacks. No, it was actually very, very calming and simple way of playing that I really enjoyed from Longsword, where I just felt like I was able to strafe and land all of my hits because of focus mode, making it just so easy to aim. Longsword has some very cool, neat attacks in this game now, and I think that the tried and true method of just helm breakering everything in this game is completely gone now, and I absolutely love it. And this probably was a little bit of a skill issue, but I actually had a pretty hard time hitting some of these wounds. Longsword's focus attack actually lands you a whole meter upgrade whenever you do land a focus attack on one of the wounds on a monster. However, it is a very pinpoint stab thrust attack that Longsword does. So if you don't aim it right, or if it's on the other side of the monster, the Longsword doesn't seem to pierce through some monster hide or skin to actually target the wound like it should, I think. That, or I'm just bad with it. I don't know. I'm a Monster Hunter veteran. I've been playing the series for nearly 20 years. I'm not one of the new Fiverr woodworks who came out being Longsword experts. Now that the obligatory shitting on Longsword segment is done in this video, I gotta say, jokes aside, Longsword is very strong with the use of some environmental damage, some okay gameplay, and some pretty good counters, and utilizing the red gauge, we were able to get a kill on Arkveld right before his final resting place. Oh! Oh! Oh God, I wish the camera angle was better for that. I wish the camera angle was better. Now, the weapon I've been considering maining in Monster Hunter Wilds, although now I've kind of fallen in love with Perfect Guard, so I'm not really sure. But these last two weapons are absolutely super sick, and I can't wait to main them. But let's get into our second to last weapon, the Dual Blade. Now, one thing's always remained
Dual
true
blades did seem like fun.
Everybody thinks that this is an easy weapon to use in Monster Hunter series, and I always disagree. Dual blades in this game are back and better than ever, but they're not very easy on Arkveld, I found. Some of the issues that I had with dual blades on Arkveld soloing was just the stamina management and getting a little bit too carried away with using the dual blades strong, long combos. However, a lot of people may say, Terra, that's a skill issue, and I have to agree on that part. Now, I do think that even with really good gameplay, which I did have solid gameplay on the first couple days of the beta against Arkveld, I still struggled to get him killed in under 20 minutes. Now, a lot of dual blades extra little bits of damage actually comes from getting its perfect dodge. Whenever you get a perfect dodge with the dual blades, your dashes actually get enhanced to do attacks while you dash. You can even follow it up with the press of the primary attack button. It's only 1 point of damage increment buffs about, give or take, on a lot of the dual blades attacks, but that damage does add up to be a lot as you are doing a ton of little bits of attack with dual blades. I realized before that I struggled to do a solo run with Arkveld the first night I fought him and the second night, and yeah, I was pretty unfamiliar with the monster, but I didn't actually have a lot of the perfect dodges down. Perfect dodge is not something that's easily doable with the dual blades, and it's something that you have to actually play a high risk, high reward playstyle to actually get done. But I'd had so much practice with the perfect guards that I felt I really knew Arkveld's playstyle at this moment. So in this run, I actually got quite a number of perfect dodges with the dual blades, leading to the damage that I did need to finish out the fight. With some environmental damage, we were able to capture Arkveld in his final resting place with only 19 seconds on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to kill him so bad. I did. But when it dropped down to 30 seconds and 20 seconds, I was sweating and I wanted to call a win, so we finally got it. I did think that dual blades are a little undertuned, or as one of my viewers also pointed out, that we don't actually have access to like elemental dual blades per se, and dual blades and sword and shield and bow have always made really good use of elemental attacks. And I think that dual blades are either undertuned a little bit, or we just don't have access to the right types of dual blades for certain monsters. I didn't want to risk it. Shit! I didn't want to risk it! Win's a win. Win's a win. Finally, probably one of the most impressive weapons in the Monster Hunter series altogether. One of the longtime fan favorites, one of my longtime favorites, and a super solid weapon choice in Monster Hunter Wilds, the Great Sword. Greatsword is quite possibly one of the best weapons in Monster Hunter Wilds, especially on Arkveld, and here's why. With Greatsword, not only do you have really good damage and very good reach, you also have access to offset attacks, which are actually very, very easy to get. But it's not just the offset swing attacks. It's actually the other most broken mechanic in Monster Hunter Wilds. You may have already guessed because you've heard me talking about it most of this video if you have tuned in all the way up until this point. If you skip to this part of the video because you just want to know about the Greatsword because you're just a damage main, I'll tell you what it is right now. It is, again, the Perfect Guard. Perfect Guard is absolutely insane, and every single weapon that can get a Perfect Guard has its own little benefits. Greatswords being extremely low recovery time after the Perfect Guard, meaning you can go straight into a charge slash, which isn't like straight into the middle of a combo, but you're able to get nearly a full charge slash on a Perfect Guard on a lot of monster attacks, which adds up to a ton of damage. Not only this, after a Perfect Guard, you can actually just go straight into an offset charge swing as well, which meant that we actually had legitimately near perfect scenarios of Perfect Guard setups into offset swings on Arkveld. The offset attack is a perfect counter for the pounce attack, which meant guaranteed setups to get big damage, have near perfect counters on Arkveld, and to activate the damage buff from the 4-piece set of Doshiguma armor. Greatsword seems to have it all in this game. Good damage, long reach, perfect guards, tackles to get through roars and attacks, and offset swings along with power clashes due to the ability of being able to block and a little bit of the ability to stun monsters. I believe Greatsword may just be my main weapon in Monster Hunter Wilds after this last beta, as I truly feel like I connected with this game and all of its mechanics, and the new Power Guard mechanic really rang true in my ears, and the offset slashes, and seeing the build of Doshiguma armor and getting the actual buff that was skill dependent on hitting these offset slashes really just opened my eyes up to how good of a game this is and how awesome of a weapon Greatsword is. Therefore, we were able to defeat Arkveld in a world record time of oh dude, I should have gone for Pillar. Oh, how was he not dead yet? Yeah, I still somehow failed this quest. I don't know what happened. Even though I was playing pretty well, I think that I just didn't do enough damage because I was fishing for offset attacks and power guards too much. So I think I got carried away thinking I was like a god gamer or something, and I just didn't do enough damage to Arkveld. So we actually had to run the Greatsword one more time. So this time, as I was pretty tired at the end of the stream, having run all these weapons, I wanted to just get the defeat on Arkveld and call it a day and call it a win. Therefore, I decided to capture him. But there was one big problem. I was out of tranquilizer bombs. I checked the timer on the quest and I realized that I only had a few minutes to spare. Therefore, I made a snap decision. I was going to farm the materials that I needed on the way to Arkveld to craft tranquilizer bombs just to capture him and call it a day so I could order a pizza after this good-ass stream because it was National Pizza Day. So I went near the Doshiguma resting area. I grabbed some sleep herbs, the only sleep herbs on the map apparently. Then I fast-traveled over to the Oasis. I ran over there and grabbed some parashrooms. Had auto-crafting already turned on, so the tranquilizer bombs automatically formed. We went up and we captured Arkveld, simple as that. But if it must be said, I did have a really good time of a 14.5-minute Arkveld with Greatsword on one of the streams before this stream. So Greatsword really is that good, but I was probably tired at the end of the stream. But Greatsword, absolutely beast of a weapon, and I cannot wait to probably main it in Monster Hunter Wilds. Well, that's all the weapons, ladies and gentlemen. I think that now that we're at the end of the video, I just wanted to wrap up a few thoughts that I have on the weapons and the mechanics of Monster Hunter Wilds. And let's talk about the monsters a little bit too. Arkveld, super amazing flagship monster. This monster is so cool, man. Just hearing his awesome theme song,
you know, it's crazy. I haven't heard any of the music even though I've been playing the game.
The chain-like appendages it has, the attacks that it does, the wide range, huge range that this monster has, his roars, This is a super, super cool fight, and Capcom really outdid themselves with this monster, and I really am not exaggerating, you guys. They did an amazing job with Arkveld, and I absolutely love this monster. Now, when it comes to the mechanics of Monster Hunter Wilds, I feel like I truly started to understand this game with the second open beta. It's all about using focus mode. Focus mode helps you aim your attacks so much better and really makes up for a lot of the stuff that you couldn't do before. Now, the controls may be a little bit wonky depending on the weapons, but the focus mode really does help to aim your attacks, like I said before. It helps you to strafe monsters and get some really good hits in while remaining mobile and not so vulnerable with some of the weapons that can't guard. But for the weapons that can guard, utilizing that perfect guard mechanic is super, super strong and actually leads to a counterattack. And I think I really do love it as a universal mechanic. But I think that it being so strong is very rewarding for players who want to take that risk of blocking at the right time instead of just holding down the block button for a few seconds, as opposed to really challenging the monster, getting that perfect block, and getting a sick counterattack leading to a clip or a highlight of your own. It's super awesome, man, and I cannot wait for this game. I had so much fun in this beta when I finally felt the challenge that was Arkveld, such an imposing monster that is not an Elder Dragon, and I thought that this game was so cool over this last beta. Even though I loved it in the first one, I somehow loved it even more, ladies and gentlemen. Arkveld, peak monster. Peak monster. Good job, Capcom. God, if you're interested in watching the over 6-hour footage for this live stream, I will have a link to it in the description down below. But if you would like to see me do it live, I'm going to do it again. If you're watching this video in the first week of its upload, I will be doing it this coming weekend, February 15th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I will also have a link to that in the description down below. If you enjoyed this video, I highly recommend you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be covering everything that there is to know about Monster Hunter Wilds when it comes to guides, tier lists, builds, and discussions about how the game is played in general. I have multiple weapon guides on Monster Hunter World, and I plan to make a guide for every single weapon in Monster Hunter Wilds and a guide for everything that there is to know. So I'm letting you know personally, this is the place to be if you are a beginner in the Monster Hunter series, or there's anything that you need to know at all about Monster Hunter Wilds and how to play the game and how to really get good. But finally, if there's one more thing I can ask, what weapon are you going to play?
I was invited to the Capcom offices in London to play the final preview build of Monster Hunter Wilds that not only has the monsters, but also a ton of gameplay.
Not that I deserve, I'm not doing anything right now.
All of the weapons. And so in this video I will be going in depth
I
talking
appreciate
about
it.
all of them, what differences did I spot, how different the weapon felt, how were some of the buffs and the nerfs, and a few more things. Now I do have to disclose that this is not the final build, so there might be some changes before the game is fully released. Additionally, given the limited time that we were able to play and record at Capcom, while I was able to play with all of these weapons, it was pretty difficult to test out some mechanics in specific, but I will be sure to address that when I talk about those weapons. Additionally, I also want to give a huge shout out to Jono at Capcom for inviting me, to you guys for having made this possible, and to the following content creators for giving me extra footage, as unfortunately my hard drive got corrupted and I ended up losing some files. Those being Rurikon, Ark, Rage Gaming, Arix Gaming, and Nightside. A huge thank you to all of them. Well, with that being said, I hope you are all as excited for Wilds as I am, and let's get started. So let's start with the Sword and Shield. When I first picked up this weapon in the beta, I was somewhat disappointed. Don't get me wrong, the Sword and Shield was still reliable but lacked impact, and the Perfect Rush, which in my opinion is the coolest tool in the Sword and Shield arsenal, was whack. It simply lacked damage for it to be worth all of the necessary commitment that is required to pull off that move. Thankfully, however,
the Monster Hunter Wilds open beta has been running across all platforms from the beginning of November, with early access to PlayStation Plus subscribers on PS5. You get to do the first story mission, go on a hunt against an Alpha Deshaguma, and then it opens up allowing you to hunt in the Windward Plains against Balaharas and Raydows as well if you want to. With a good few hours under my belt and having tried
Hello everyone and welcome to Monster Hunter Wilds. In this video we'll be taking a journey of everything that Monster Hunter Wilds has to offer and covering everything you need to know to help you in your playthrough. We'll discuss very basic concepts like what is Monster Hunter Wilds, what's the flow of the game look like, and what you should be prioritizing. There will also be some advanced tips sprinkled throughout. So first, what is Monster Hunter Wilds? Well, for narrative's sake, you're part of a group called the Hunters Guild, and you venture to a new part of the world known as the Forbidden Lands. The guild serves multiple purposes such as researching the anatomy and biology of monsters and keeping people and towns safe from the wildlife. But above all, it's all about maintaining the balance within the world itself. Now, in Monster Hunter Wilds, you are part of a group called an expedition team. This team consists of 4 members, each serving a very different role, and that is where you come in. You're a hunter, and your job is very simple. You hunt the monsters and you protect everybody else. There are, however, far more activities that you can do outside of just hunting giant boss-like monsters, which we will dive into a little bit later. You also have a handler named Alma who joins you on your journey. Her job is basically to handle the logistics of hunts and will often make you aware of new quests or any new information in the world that you need to be aware of. Unlike previous games, however, where your handler would stay at camp, Alma follows you around on hunts and can even pick up or harvest certain items out in the wilderness for you. Next, there is your Pelico, which is a little feline companion. They will hunt with you, and you can basically consider them a support-like character. They can provide you with heals, buffs, and even help distract monsters. Then there is Gemma, which is your smithy. She'll take monster materials from you and turn them into weapons and into armor. She will certainly play a key part in your progression, and you will constantly return to her to not only craft new gear, but to upgrade your gear as well. Then lastly, there is the Sacred. While not considered a part of your expedition team, they are still very much an asset and a constant companion. They are your primary source of travel and can be easily called to
Happy Waifu Day. I know it's
on them when I
Waifu Day.
discuss traversal and the map zones at a later point in the video. Alright, now let's discuss what makes the
I've never
franchise
heard of
so
this.
popular, and that's the monsters. There are 3 primary groups of monsters or creatures. Starting off here, you have the large monsters, and they're the primary focus of the game, and they will always be hostile towards the
And I
player.
feel like I would
At the time
know.
of making this video, there has been 19 confirmed large monsters in Monster Hunter Wilds. All monsters will have varying difficulty and different movesets that you need to learn in order to defeat them. They also have strengths and weaknesses against certain elements such as poison and fire. Understandably, 19 monsters may not seem like a whole lot, but that's only what's been confirmed so far. To give you perspective, Monster Hunter World, the previous mainline game, or Monster Hunter 5, had 71 total large monsters with
Yeah, forget Valentine's Day.
a lot of which were
You wanna see how I make it Valentine's Day?
There was also subspecies that were introduced as well. So there will be plenty of monsters to go through and fight, and of course lots of great armor and weapons
Chick
that
is
you can go
gone.
through and farm up. Now speaking of
Look at
species,
these.
large monsters are categorized by groups, and these groups are called monster classes. To give you a few examples, you have flying wyverns such as Raydal, amphibians such as Chatacabra, and leviathans such as Balahara. There are many more classes, but essentially know that classes of a monster often determine the types of characteristics it will display in the wild and in combat. Then each zone also has an apex predator. It's essentially the top of the food chain in that area. These monsters are usually far more difficult than other monsters within that zone and are often associated with progression and story elements, usually leading to you having to defeat it prior to moving on to the next zone. And then there are elder dragons. They're a class of monsters that are extremely formidable and have powers so great that they themselves can disrupt the balance of
Ready here
existence.
first?
Now even though some of those
Waifu
monsters
Day,
may
who
seem
needs real
simple,
girls?
don't worry, though,
You know what's
when you
funny?
start out, you'll be tasked with
You
hunting
need them to wear the
monsters.
cosplay, brother.
They tend to deal less damage, move around significantly less, and help
You need them for
understand
that.
the ebb and flow of combat.
You need them for
Then when
that.
it comes
They're
to
good with
weapons
that.
or hunting these monsters, you can successfully complete them by doing one of
Yeah,
two
dude.
things. You can either fight the monster until you have slain it, which then allows you to harvest its corpse for crafting materials, or you can craft a trap, fight the monster until you see it's fairly weak and limping away, then set the trap down in its path, or engage it in battle and basically just ensure it runs into the trap. Then once it's trapped, you can use a tranquilizer bomb to successfully trap the monster and complete the hunt. Capturing monsters is required for some quests and can also help you speed up other hunts since you don't have to completely defeat the monster. Also, as a bonus, you oftentimes get increased rewards for capturing a
Kinda
monster
like that.
instead of just slaying it, which means you may find that you don't always have to hunt as many monsters to get all the crafting materials you need if you choose to go through and capture them versus slay them. Next up is small monsters. Currently, there's only 7 of that we know of in Monster Hunter Wilds in the beta, which is just going to be in the first zone. These monsters can be neutral or aggressive towards the player. You will often farm them hunt for their parts, which means you'll be using them for upgrades, crafting, or even to sell for currency. You may also get random subquests asking you to defeat certain small monsters for specific rewards. But small monsters are not just there as resources, they also play a role in the environment. It's usually a good idea to use small monsters in an area to charge up your weapons meter before engaging in a challenging fight with a large monster. This can give you a huge tactical advantage when you're starting off a challenging fight with your DPS already maxed out. Lastly, there is endemic life. These are little creatures that you could find throughout the world that can be collected for crafting, or you can strike with a weapon to produce various effects such as initiating a stun, healing you, or you could simply just capture them. The game does give you a net and a fishing pole to help capture these endemic life creatures. You can also pick some of them up with just your hands, but others will require the net or the fishing pole. When you do capture them, you will get their crafting materials. Now in Monster Hunter World, you actually had a player-specific room that was designated for you where you could swap out gear, and you could also go through and put on display the endemic life that you caught, which made for a pretty cool place to hang out when you weren't out hunting monsters. It is yet to be seen though if this type of environment will return in Monster Hunter Wilds. Alright, now let's move on over to the base camp. In previous entries of the series, you would have a base camp where you would get prepared for a hunt, and then you would embark into a zone through a loading screen. In Monster Hunter Wilds, it's a seamless open world. You can just walk out of the base camp straight into the zones with no loading screens. You will be spending a lot of time though in this base camp for a multitude of reasons. Oftentimes this is where you will regroup or report for story related missions, and of course you also find your smithy Gemma here. So when it comes to upgrading your gear or unlocking
having to look down to craft this stuff is insane, dude.
Shop where you can buy and sell goods, but unfortunately don't have access to that or know what it looks like here in Monster Hunter Wilds. Then there's also a training area we can head to fine-tune your combat skills. Lastly, you have your own little tent where you can go inside to change gear, access your overstock of items, or even cook meals. Now, speaking of items and foods, let's discuss preparation. It may be tempting to just run out into the world and to explore to start fighting monsters, and you might be able to deal with some monsters with relative ease. However, preparation is key to most monsters in the game, so starting at your camp is quite crucial. You also have pop-up tents which you can place throughout the map. You can have up to 3 at a time. Monsters can actually destroy these camps if they get too close. Now, once you head into your tents, you'll have access to go through and to change out your armor and your weapons. It's important to know that no one weapon technically is stronger than another weapon versus specific monsters, as all monsters are weak to raw damage, and all weapons will be dealing raw damage, but they can be upgraded down specific paths to gain elements or ailments if you so desire. But weapon choice is entirely your choice and what fits your playstyle best. We'll dive into those just a little bit later. However, armor is extremely important, and there's been some huge changes to armor in Monster Hunter Wilds. In previous games, armor was loaded with offensive and defensive skills, meaning you almost always had to wear very specific gear to be tailored to the weapon you were using to achieve optimal DPS and a solid build. Now, however, they have split the skills in half. Skills that are more relative to combat have been placed on weapons, and skills that are more defense-oriented, such as elemental resistances, have stayed on armor. This means that each piece of armor can now be tailored to individual hunts to help protect you the most and offer buffs while not sacrificing the power of your build. For example, you would not want to go through and wear this armor set that's on screen if you were looking to optimize your chances of success against Ray Down, as it has negative lightning resistance, whereas this set has the highest protection against lightning in the beta. So make sure you are paying attention to the stats and skills for armor. Then there's also charms, which act as another type of armor slot and offer unique bonuses that can further contribute to your build. Then there's decorations, which can be added into armor to further increase its effectiveness. Unfortunately, at this time, we don't have much info to work with when it comes to Monster Hunter Wilds for charms or decorations, but I at least wanted to get that info out there so you are aware that they do exist. Then there's another feature returning from Monster Hunter Worlds. When you turn on a monster's parts for new armor, there's 2 types of armor. There's an alpha set and a beta set. The alpha set has more skills immediately available on the armor, and the beta has less skills on the armor, but offers more customization through the usage of more decoration slots. Lastly, for armor, there is layered armor, which is essentially just cosmetics. Once you hit a certain progression in the game called high rank, all armor that you unlock will immediately become available as a layered armor piece. What this means is that you can deck out your character in all the gear with the best skills that you want, but then change its appearance to any other piece of armor that you have unlocked. Also, new to Monster Hunter Worlds is the unlocked gender armor, meaning if you always hate a certain piece of armor for the male set or the female set, you can now change it out interchangeably, so basically you can wear whatever the heck you want and the game won't restrict you. This is a huge quality of life change. It means no longer do you have to sacrifice your fashion for functionality. You can still look great while still dealing massive damage. Next up in the camp is your meals. Even though the world is seamlessly open world, doesn't mean you shouldn't take the time to still prepare before you head out. Eating meals before hunts can provide you with gigantic buffs. It can increase the total damage done, increase specific stats, or even elemental resistances. This can greatly change the outcome of the hunt, so do not forget to eat a hearty meal. And even if the hunt's not challenging, it could go through and just speed up the process for the hunt so it doesn't feel nearly as grindy if you're going through and continuing to farm the same monster over and over. It only takes you a few seconds and it's a huge benefit, so definitely take advantage of that. Now let's discuss items. Do not forget to stock up on your items before you head out, or you may find yourself taking a shortcut straight back to camp because you got carded, which basically means a monster kicked your butt and you had to get dragged back to camp. Now while you are out exploring or in combat, you have an item pouch that you can go through and fill with items that you collect from the environment. These items can be crafted into potions that heal you, traps for monsters, buffs, and many more different types of items. Now because crafting by default is set to be automated, anytime you find an herb, for example, in the wild, the game automatically crafts you a potion. This can be super handy, but just because it does it automatically does not mean you should not make yourself familiar with the crafting menu. Then what happens if you run out of items? What happens if you used your last potion? Well, you can get new items in a few different ways. Your handler can gather items automatically and will place items in your sacred's pouch for you. On the PS5, you press left on the control pad and it will open the pouch where you can then transfer those items directly to your inventory if you have room. It is important to know that you can only hold so many of a certain item. Any excess items you find or craft gets automatically sent to your storage, which is accessed at your camps or the pop-up tents. And it's here where you will ensure that you are fully stocked up on potions, traps, slinger ammo, and anything else that you may need. Now a smart tactic that you can take advantage of as you start fighting more challenging monsters is to bring 10 high potions with you, then 10 normal potions, and 10 honey. Meaning once you run out of the initial 10 high potions, you can then immediately craft 10 more high potions and you don't need to worry about running around gathering materials or having less effective potions. You can
What did you say?
A smart tactic that you can take advantage of as you start fighting more challenging monsters is to bring 10 high potions with you, then 10 normal potions, and 10 honey. Meaning once you run out of the initial 10 high potions, you can then immediately craft 10 more high potions and you don't need to worry about running around gathering materials or having less effective potions. You can do this with many different items to help you exceed that maximum threshold of certain items. Alright, next up is zones. Each zone has different wildlife, different weather, and
Hey, this stuff coming together though.
make yourself familiar with the zone and not
It's coming
just the
together.
monsters. In zones, you'll find valuable resources like herbs for potions, bones for crafting, ores for upgrades, and endemic creature locations, which can be great places to have battles with large monsters as they offer ways to heal or even to stun the monster. Then when it comes to traversal, your sacred makes navigating the world quite easy as you can pick a location through a selection on your map and they will automatically start running towards that location. They can even climb and jump without your interaction and will stop upon reaching your destination. So you can use this time to sharpen your weapon, heal up if needed, or to scout the map for resources on your journey. A great addition with the sacred is that you can actually grab a lot of the resources you need while mounted, meaning you don't have to constantly get off your mount to gather and collect every type of item. You could simply run past them and press the interact button to collect them, or you can even fire off your slinger at other ones and pull them towards you. Then when it comes to zones in Monster Hunter Wilds, we only have access to the Windward Plains, and like most Monster Hunter zones, it has verticality, which basically just means it has different levels within the zone. Usually there is a base or surface level, and then some areas you may find underground, or other areas you may find yourself climbing upwards to be able to reach. When on the map, you can now visually see how one area connects to the other, so if you want to manually navigate to these zones, you'll know how to get access to the different levels with ease. It's also important to discuss the weather. The weather within zones can greatly affect all the monsters and the creatures within their zones, their behaviors, and whether they are simply present there or not. Then in regards to other zones, we also have the confirmation of the Scarlet Forest, the Oil Well Basin, and the Ice Shard Cliffs. Now let's discuss weapons. Monster Hunter Wilds has 14 different weapon types that you can choose from, all of which offer different ways to approach battle. These weapons are the bread and butter for replayability value. I know that sounds crazy to say, but I promise that if you do an entire playthrough with one weapon type, and then attempt a second playthrough with a different weapon type, the way you approach nearly every single encounter will be different, and there will be loads of new movesets and combos to learn for your weapons, and even different ways to react to monsters. Yes, of course, you will still need to dodge monster attacks, and their moves will remain largely the same, but in general, it will be a very different experience. The longsword, for example, is a weapon that is often referred to as a beginner-friendly weapon, and it has a lot of advantages and very few disadvantages. Now, even though the entry skill level is quite low for the longsword, mastering this weapon requires a very high level of skill. I will tell you that I spent about 500 hours on the longsword, and compared to somebody who's new to the game, I'd be considered a pro. But then if you compare me to someone who's been playing the franchise since the first Monster Hunter, and with someone who's got tens of thousands of hours on a weapon, I'm an amateur and look like a complete fool. And that's okay. You don't need to perfectly master every element of every weapon to understand it or even to use it effectively. You can work through most content in Monster Hunter games by just having a solid understanding of each weapon. But once you begin to master specific weapon techniques or combat skills, you will find some of the more challenging encounters become far more approachable, and even some fights just tend to be able to be finished at a much quicker rate since you can capitalize on openings. It is okay to use only one weapon, and if you do, you'll become very, very skilled and experienced with it, and that is okay. And that's what I did. I've spent 99% of my time in Monster Hunter using the longsword, and 1% using the insect glaive, and I hated it, and I then went to the longsword. Now, coming to the beta, I really forced myself to try new weapons, and it's completely refreshing and exciting. I used the longsword at first, and I told myself I absolutely just need to stop, and so I've basically gone to using the bow, and it is a huge difference. And I know the bow sounds crazy in a game with huge monsters and giant swords, but the bow is an immense amount of fun. You've got to manage your stamina very well, because you have to basically use stam for both offense and defense. You then can focus on weak points. You also have to go through and manage your perfect timing and dodges so you can execute some free damage and then set yourself up for follow-up attacks. So yeah, there's a lot of different weapon choices and a lot of versatility, and it may seem overwhelming. So you may use a weapon and immediately love it and not want to use anything else like I did with the longsword, or you may hate it and need to cycle through weapons to find one that you like. The best weapon is the one that you feel the most comfortable with. Now the great thing about Monster Hunter Wilds is that you can actually now carry 2 different weapon types with you. So even if you have a reason to just use one specific weapon, you now have that extra slot to go through and to carry a second weapon with you. If you want to have a backup or a secondary weapon you can switch off and onto if you want to mix up your playstyle. Now speaking of weapons, let's discuss combat. There are a few things that you should know before you hop into Monster Hunter Wilds. The first is probably the most obvious, but it definitely needs to be stated for some people out there just so they are aware. This is not a hack and slash game, and this is not a Souls-like game. I enjoy both of those games, and this has elements from both, but the combat is unique in Monster Hunter and offers an extremely satisfying experience once you get the hang of a few different things. So earlier on I mentioned difficulties of monsters. This can be evaluated in a few different capacities. First is simply just the monster itself. For example, Chattacabra is far easier to defeat than Raydal. But monsters also have a star ranking. You can find certain quests that can make what is normally a fairly easy monster encounter become a far more challenging one. But with greater risk comes greater rewards. So keep an eye out for high-level hunts that will test your strength, as they can often be a great way to acquire rare resources and obtain some progress. You also find that certain hunts will have more than one monster. They may have an alpha creature that you want to separate from packs, and if you don't do that, the fight can be extremely challenging, but the moment you do, it becomes more manageable. Now once a game comes fully out, you will find that you have a hunter rank. As you complete a certain amount of lower level hunts, you will rank up, which will allow you to take on more difficult fights and to progress farther, which means you can become more powerful as well. Now during combat, you should always prioritize defense over offense. If you see an attack coming that you know does an insane amount of damage, it can possibly even cart you and send you back to your base, it is worth interrupting your combo to dodge that attack versus trying to power through the attack, possibly getting stunned or knocked out. When it comes to default quests or standard quests, you actually have 3 feints available to you and your party. So if 3 different people on your party faint, you can fail the quest, or if you're playing solo, if you faint 3 times. However, as you do more challenging hunts, even if you faint just 1 time, that can be the end of the hunt and all your rewards. So it's important that you always prioritize you staying alive above all else. If you're dead, you can't deal any damage. It's as simple as that. Now, once you do go through and understand that, you will start to learn the monster's moves. And as you learn these monster moves, you will realize that some of them will have a move that they use, which leaves a large opening for you to deal damage afterwards. They will also use some attacks that will immediately have a follow-up attack, or attacks that will deal stun damage or poison damage, and you will want to look out for those, because not only will they deal damage to you, they will put you in a vulnerable state where you then need to heal up and be on the defensive. Now you can mitigate a lot of different attacks on different monsters by going through and focusing on specific body parts. A great example is tails. There are a lot of monsters in the game where you can just simply cut off their tail, which goes through and either removes an entire move from their moveset, or simply just makes that move deal significantly less damage, or no longer able to do certain elements or status effects to you. Now Monster Hunter Wilds also has implemented a few new features for combat, and one is called Focus Mode, which allows you to see wounds you create on a creature. They have a distinctive red glow and should always be a big priority. If you go through and focus on these, you will often break off parts of the monster, and these can then be used for crafting and oftentimes will either stun or knock over the creature, which opens a large damage opportunity. Another feature is the camera being far easier to use when in combat. It didn't always play the nicest in previous entries, and it is now more smoother than ever, making combat significantly easier to go through and manage when you're dodging attacks. Now you should know in combat that your weapon is not your only option for dealing with monsters. You also have your slinger. Your slinger can be used in a variety of different ways. A great example is that you can use it to trigger environmental traps. There are traps throughout zones that can be triggered by pulling them down with the slinger, and this can inflict massive damage on the monster and even potentially knock them down so you can deal even more damage. You can also use the slinger to fire ammo at monsters. This ammo can deal raw damage or elemental damage, or you can fire off pods like flash pods or dung pods. You will find that monsters often clash with each other, and at times it can be very helpful, and at other times it can be the absolute worst. In order to scare away large monsters that you don't want to fight, just shoot them with a dung pod, and this will usually result in them running away into a different area, which will then make it so you only have to deal with the original one large monster at a time. Then you also have flash pods, which can be used to blind monsters. If the monster is on the ground, it usually just causes them to get temporarily blinded, which can give you an opening to deal some damage. However, it is extremely effective on monsters who fly. If a flash pod is used on a monster while they are in the air, or even climbing or jumping high up, it can cause the monster to crash into the ground and then get stunned, allowing you to deal out massive damage. This can be extremely helpful when you have a monster that's constantly flying and jumping around and you're having a hard time dealing damage to. It just simply drops it on the ground so you can go through and just wail at it as hard as you possibly can for the duration of them being halted and just having no mobility. So definitely take advantage of this. Now we've talked about a lot of offensive options, now let's talk about defense. You can dodge a lot of attacks as mentioned previously. You can also block other attacks like roars, which can be extremely helpful. But there are some attacks that are extremely dangerous and you need to look out for. These attacks will make your health bar flash red, which indicates that it's a fatal attack. So if you see this attack, whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing, and extremely dangerous other attack options. Now let's talk about defense. You can dodge a lot of attacks as mentioned previously. You can also block other attacks like roars, which can be extremely helpful. But there are some attacks that are extremely dangerous and you need to look out for. These attacks will make your health bar flash red, which indicates that it's a fatal attack. So if you see this attack, whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing and make sure you dodge that attack. Otherwise, back to camp it is. Now, if you've used all these different tips and so many more and you're still struggling with the fight, then use the SOS Flare, which will either summon 3 AI hunters to assist you on a hunt, or if you're playing multiplayer, it can call 3 other real players to assist you. Don't feel bad if you need to call others, as this is an intended feature and is often used by many different players who play the game. I would recommend not to rely on this though. It's okay to play with buddies all the time, but if your goal is to learn the game and to learn the monster's movesets, if you're constantly calling other people to help you, it can be difficult to understand when you've done something right and where you have opportunities, because other players will be in the mix and you won't quite understand
This dude works corporate.
You could have done better or where maybe you made a mistake. Because
Instead of saying find your mistakes, he said where you can find
Either way,
opportunities.
if you're not familiar with the
He
game,
works
it is
corporate.
good to play solo to get a better understanding of your weapon. And
Because you generally don't say that people have messed something up or made any mistakes. Instead, you say they have opportunities. They have an opportunity to improve. You just call them opportunities.
And at the same time, I feel
Right? Like, that's crazy.
Surface of Monster Hunter Wilds. But seeing as this document is almost a 9-page
Funny.
script, I can only imagine how long this video is. I think this is where we're going to wrap it up. If you found any of this information helpful whatsoever and want to see more videos like this one, then consider leaving a like and subscribing for future Monster Hunter Wilds content.
Yes, what an interesting interaction. Starting with the large monsters, we have the first monster that we are tasked with hunting in the beta, the Chatacabra. This frog-like fellow seems to be tasked with being the game's tutorial.
Oh, I have an opportunity to use my Brian.
As such, it is a bit of a pushover in
Opportunity.
combat. It's got some interesting mechanics though, such as using its saliva to stick rocks to its arms in order to strengthen them. For my observations, however, I was more curious about
thank
how
you,
this
brother. I
weapon lived
appreciate
its
it.
life, so I recorded
You
a
saw they nerfed him, Mel?
the monster out of combat. Yep, there he is. Look at him go. Ooh, what are you doing? Sorry, getting sidetracked. Aha, there we go. So we actually were able to observe the Chatacabra lick up the ground a bit. This actually produces a track for us, which we can collect for research. As a little bit of an aside to discuss general game mechanics, it does seem that the tracks mechanic from World has partially returned to Wilds. The main difference is that it doesn't seem that these tracks are the primary method of locating monsters, as our secret is stated to be able to recognize monsters by scent. Instead, the tracks monsters drop are a lot more infrequent, but they do seem to always provide us with monster materials. So just like we've seen with Chatacabra here, I think each large monster should have at least one idle behavior that results in these types of tracks being dropped. Back to
Did I show you what I was making, Highly Dodgy?
being spotted by the Chatacabra, and it did aggro to me pretty quickly. I was wondering if large monsters would behave somewhat like in World, where some were passive until attacked, but it does seem that every monster in this beta would attack if you remained in their sight for too long. While I was running from Chatsukabra, I did notice a nearby Doshagama, so I decided to let them go at it for a bit. Let's talk about large monster turf wars real quick. When we watch this scuffle between Doshagama and Chatsukabra, we don't have a scripted turf war animation. Instead, the Doshagama ends up wailing on the Chatsukabra with some of its basic attacks. We can see decent damage numbers for these hits, and they also stagger it pretty easily. This is a bit different from how monsters fought in past games. While monsters could actively attack each other before, the damage they would do seemed to be quite little, and they would almost never be able to knock each other over. Now in World, we had the turf wars that would deal a larger chunk of damage, and in Rise, we also had the Wyvern Ride mechanic, where two monsters clashing would likely make one of them rideable. However, if you ever ended up with multiple monsters in the same area and these mechanics didn't trigger, then you would be stuck with two monsters that are more interested in fighting you than each other. What I've noticed in Wilds, however, is that when any monsters are in close proximity, they will actively fight using normal attacks, and these attacks can easily result in knockdowns. And finally, when one monster has been knocked around enough, it will flee on its own, no dung pod required. And this feels almost like a more natural way to handle turf wars, because you can have the monsters fight using their normal movesets, and a bespoke animation won't need to be made for every combination of monsters that can encounter each other. That's not to say that I don't like a good turf war animation though, some of them are quite awesome to see. And so rest assured, there are still bespoke turf wars in Wilds. There is at least one that we can observe in this beta, coming up later, and in some of the trailers, we've seen a few more unique ones. Anyways, that should wrap up what I wanted to talk about regarding general mechanics, so I should hopefully be able to keep the rest of this video to going through all of my observations. To continue with Chatsukabra here, honestly, a lot of my footage of the monster out of combat was just of it idly looking around and slowly moving between locations. And this is kinda about what we should have expected anyways. It's not as if these monsters have to be doing activities at all times. But that's not to say that this frog doesn't know how to kick back from time to time. Turns out, a hotspot for Chatsukabras is the lovely oasis located in the middle of the sand dunes area. I would suppose that as amphibians, these fellows would like to stay nice and hydrated. To finish up, I have to say that I unfortunately didn't catch any footage of the Chatsukabra eating. Since this has been a standard monster behavior for most games, I would assume that Chatsukabra has a designated food source, but I only had a limited time to record footage, so unfortunately this video won't be comprehensive for every action monsters will have. Listen, okay, I may have had this video idea before jumping into the beta, but I also may have put off doing my recording until the second to last day, so, whoops. Moving on to the next large monster featured in the beta, we have Doshagama. After the Chatsukabra, most players probably fought this one, as there is a fixed quest to take down an alpha that is guaranteed to spawn in the map. And so, this is our first introduction to a large monster that has pack behavior. Although the Alpha Doshagama is stronger than the others, players will quickly learn that the additional Doshagama aren't just set dressing, and will quite quickly become a problem if you try to fight them all at once.
No, look what I'm making!
The game prompts us to use a large dung pod in order to scatter the pack so the Alpha
I'm almost done.
Alone. Now, after the scripted quest against the Alpha, we might find individual Doshagama scattered across the map, and any one of them can be fought for a full-length hunt. So the first thing I was interested in was, how do packs of Doshagama end up forming
for me
for the first quest? The answer isn't actually all that
not
simple.
this year, brother
As it
man.
turns out, the Doshagama you see around the map will behave independently and will enter and leave the area on their own schedules. However, when an Alpha Doshagama shows up, it will bring its own squad with it. And it seems that the pack members that appear with the Alpha will generally try to stay together unless we go and separate them. You may have noticed a message when attacking one of the Alpha's pack members that says a quest cannot be created for that particular target. And this seems to be because these pack members are linked to the Alpha. But if you found a Doshagama outside the Alpha's pack, you could start a quest for it like normal. Anyways, for my observations, I wanted to go ahead and find an Alpha Doshagama so I could see their idle behaviors while in a pack. Turns out, by the way, that after the first quest, alphas are pretty rare to spawn, so I was waiting around quite a while before I found one. I was actually fortunate enough to find the exact spot where the Doshagemas entered the map, so we can see them arrive from outside the area. This alpha had
Got
a
some
pack
sage
of
for you?
2 other Doshagama, but I did later spot one that had 3 extras in its pack, so the pack size can vary. And now, to sit around and watch these fellas do their thing.
Yeah, let's do it now
observation
anyway.
that I noticed when
I'm
watching
streaming
this
to
pack
YouTube.
for a while is that they seem to move in a formation.
Once I start playing
You
though,
can see one Doshagama
which is
traveling
right
on
now,
parts of the alpha, while the other
I have one more piece. You know this
and then
joint
each one
had
of them
800 something
move their
pieces?
positions relative to the alpha, as I noticed multiple times where the alpha was in the front, so one of the others quickly speeds up to get in front of it. As my timing would have it, this pack spawned right at the start of a Sand Tide event, but this didn't actually seem to change their behaviors. A funny event that I managed to capture quite early here is the Doshagama being struck by lightning. And right after this happens, the pack begins to go on alert. A bit of a weird response, as I don't think lightning is the kind of thing you can simply look around for to see if it's coming. That said, we do see the same response in other cases when the pack is attacked, so it makes sense that this is just what they do. Skipping ahead, as the Doshagama are traveling along their routes, the alpha suddenly aggroes, and it is not
I finally done it,
just
dude.
in front of it, but it turns out that it spotted my pop-up
Damn
cam.
it, dude.
I guess it was just utterly compelled to make a beeline for it and tear it down. A little bit rude if you'd ask me. After that business was taken care of, the Doshagama have arrived at their main nest location. I suppose they've deserved a little rest after a hard day's work. You know, they almost look cute when sleeping. Almost. It feels like there's a lot of neat little details in these animations, like how one Doshagama wakes up
Literally
first and starts
800
moving
pieces,
around.
dude.
Meanwhile, the alpha wakes up and just
Recipe
sets off
for
without
hot.
paying any mind to the pack members, and even
Ah!
shake on the way out.
If I needed to use this to get that going, bro, I would not be doing
Crap,
this.
I need to catch up, and it runs ahead, getting in front of the alpha, which is seemingly its spot in the pack formation. Here's a nice little detail. These
Some
monsters,
extra
like any living
pieces.
thing, will get thirsty.
Even though I used every
Members
piece like I was
go
told.
to the river to grab a drink.
These are
We
actual
don't get a great
extras.
look at it, but we can even see the alpha seemingly washing itself off.
Okay, now I'm going
This
to.
exciting event, the pack gathers
I
on
need
a
to put
tree
these
for a
down
little
somewhere.
sit-down. Well, isn't that nice? And it also seems that my scout flies are detecting a fresh new track to investigate. Oh, well, I mean, that's, useful, I guess. So the last thing I wanted to record for the Doshagama specifically was them eating. Unfortunately, similar to Chatakabra, I didn't catch any footage of them doing that. I am realizing after the fact that perhaps I would have been more likely to catch some eating behaviors if I engaged in combats to actively exhaust the monsters, but oh well. However, a behavior that I was well aware of was the Doshagama's interaction with smaller monsters. This is one that many of you have probably experienced as well. When we are in combat with a Doshagama, if small monsters are nearby, then the Doshagama don't necessarily see them as a food source, but a weapon. So I decided to aggro this pack, and quite easily I was able to find a small monster herd and show this off. Turns out that giving 3 of these guys access to ammunition is quite dangerous. Make sure to watch out for incoming projectiles from all directions. And I said that I didn't catch any footage of the Doshagama eating, but I actually got pretty close. After fighting the alpha for a while, it randomly de-aggroed me to grab a piece of prey in its mouth and just started dragging it away. I would assume that after a while it would stop and eat it, but instead I think the alpha heard a nearby Chatakabra talking smack because when I wasn't looking, it dropped its meal and ran off to start a fight with it. Oh wow, you go Chatakabra. Welcome to the point in the video where I realized that I vastly underestimated how much content I would be covering in one video. We still have 2 large monsters to cover, plus all the small ones and endemic life. Looks like this is going to be a bit of a long one, but I'll see if I can pick up the pace a bit. Our next monster to observe will be the Balahara, which is the sandworm type monster we encountered in the opening sequence. Now from the intro, I kinda assumed that the Balahara would operate in packs like the Doshagama. However, during the beta gameplay, we will usually only see Balahara roaming individually. Perhaps the full game will include packs of them, but I haven't seen any so far. For my observations, I have to say that this was one of the less interesting monsters in terms of unique behaviors. For the most part, the Balahara I was watching sorta just stood around and swam through the sand when changing areas. That's not to say there was nothing though. At one point, the Balahara partially buries itself in the sand and assumes this weird pose where it goes completely still. but it only does it for a moment, so I'm not quite sure what its goal was. And for our obligatory research sample, the Balahara spits up a bit of its mucus, which gives us our thing to collect. Aha, now here's the moment you have all been waiting for. After a Doshagama shows up, these two monsters engage in a proper turf war. And this is pretty interesting. We will notice how the Balahara was alone all this time, but the moment the fight starts, two more emerge from the sand and throw themselves at the Doshagama. Even with the help though, the extra two are quickly thrown off and disappear just as quickly as they appeared. The one that remains doesn't fare much better, as the Doshagama seems to be able to rather brutally wrench its jaw open before tossing it aside. So I guess Balahara isn't that great of a matchup with Doshagama in direct combat. It's weird, however, that the two extra Balaharas were summoned for this specific moment only to be basically useless. But this does actually conclude most of the footage that I grabbed for Balahara. I am sad, however, that I didn't get one of the monster's signature features recorded, which would be the Balahara's sinkhole ability. This is one that you have definitely seen yourself though, as it was featured in the opening sequence. In normal gameplay, however, this can happen randomly and both you and other monsters can fall into it. I know this was shown off in some of the gameplay showcases as a method to separate packs of monsters, and it is honestly just really cool. And with that, we will move on to the final large monster of the beta, the apex of the Windward Plains, Raid
I can play some video
In the
games.
context of the beta, this guy served as an extra challenge for those who wished to test their mastery of the new combat mechanics. Personally, I found this fight to be super fun. That is,
Took an
aside from
hour
the times
and
where I found
25
myself
minutes to
lost in
finish
the
it.
Raidow's railgun.
Save my soul,
Let's see
guys.
how this monster spends some of its downtime, shall we? So during normal conditions, Raidou isn't always present on the map. This is of course because Raidou's preferred weather is the Windward Plains Sandtide event. From my experience, if Raidou isn't around, it will usually be arriving shortly after the Sandtide begins. When it isn't out and about, Raidou can often be found in this upper area of the plains, which I suppose is like a nice perch from which to survey the area. Here we are treated to some nice idle animations. With a little scratching of the ground, Raidou can provide us a nice research track. And a neat detail that we can often observe is that Raidou is periodically being struck by lightning. Unlike other monsters where this will hurt and stagger them, Raidou doesn't even flinch, and in fact, the lightning seems to be absorbed into its body. This could be the lore explanation for how Raidou builds up the electricity in its body. Other than that, it's just kinda nice to watch Raidou just chillin' out. Oh, big yawn. Of course, when Raidou isn't up in its perch, it'll roam the map doing the...
Okay. Actually, I want to start playing Elden Ring too. Wait, what is my thing Sam playing? What game did Sam play? Looks like we're playing Monster Hunter today. Monster Hunter, looks like we're playing Monster Hunter today. The stream has spoken. And you know what's funny? When that next game, you saw that Elden Ring is getting like a new game. The new game looks like a roguelike. Looks like a roguelike. So I will be playing it. A game. But I want to try and finish the actual Elden Ring before the roguelike comes up. At least once, you know what I mean? Recommended lobby, still on YouTube? I'm on everything. But I can listen to it now because I don't have to listen to anything on what you call it. What's that thing called? Not allowed to listen to anything on Clubhouse. I got video game music on there, it'd be too much. So I can listen to it, which is what I'm doing. Recommended lobby. Let's play some single player. You know what? It doesn't matter if I don't want to do it then. It's not like I'll be fighting with anybody. I was this lady called Angela something. Laura or something? Music artist, yeah. Oh my god, I butchered her name, OD. My apologies. Yo, this game looks like trash. Oh, this didn't even sound like her. This song is not my favorite one by her. That's crazy, dude. It's very different though, that's probably why, right? You know, we like the basics. That Smooth Operator, when you showed me that, it was crazy. When you showed me Sweetest Taboo, it was crazy. You showed me No Ordinary Love. Did you show me that one? Let me see. Your Love is King. Did you show me that one? Anne really likes that song. But I think she knew about it before I showed it to her. Right? Yeah, Your Love is King, yeah. She likes so much, I got a little picture up there with the both of us. Because she bought it for me. What else? Is it The Crime? That one goes crazy. I'll put it down, actually. I should play some video games. Remind me next time. I should play some video games. But this lady right here, I'm gonna show it off one time. This lady right here.
You know, I'm smiling. You know, I'm singing.
This lady right here.
It's not that I don't want you here. Yeah, yeah. It's something about the way you stare into my eyes. I know that I don't make things clear. No. I fall for you every time I try to resist you. We can get away. Palm trees, beach views, ordinary day. All I wanna hear is in the visions on replay.
It's cute. But anyway, back to playing video games. About you. Yeah, I really want to. Okay. Now, I'm going to play some video games. Grill a meal. Recommended meal. So we can see if we can maybe learn this game a little bit. I guess it won't come out till later. And I should be playing Mai Only or whatever her name is, but I want to play this. Play this. I've been playing Bellatra at work. I use my phone to connect to the thing. Oh, is this my favorite weapon? How am I supposed to anti-like? I'm supposed to shoot something. No, that's not correct. Oh, good. I'm gonna have to learn how this all over. Is that this my favorites? I'm gonna have to learn all this again. Maybe I should just wait till the game comes out.
Happy to lend a paw with all your training
Oh, is it this? No? How do you do the move? The fun move. Oh, there it is. Let me get out of here. That's gonna be the most fun I've had though.
all your training needs.
Let's see what weapon do I have left.
Happy to lend a
Oh,
paw with all
nothing?
your training needs.
Rifle. Okay. Then charge blade or switch axe. What are both of these swords and axes though? What's the real difference between these two anyway? People will know that. That's how you put stuff away. How do you pull it out? How much you attack actually? I can't pull out my weapon. You know, it's crazy actually. What is? Oh, I just hold it down. Does that have invincibility? How am I supposed to make the swords glow? Maybe I don't know. Does that swap it immediately? I don't think I understand. Maybe I'll just wait for John Rose to tell me how to do it, huh?
Happy to lend a paw with all your
Right? That makes sense? Oh, they don't let me have more than one in here. Maybe I'll just wait for John Rose to tell me exactly what it is. Because he likes this game a lot. Can I just try to switch act? Or let's try to not just try to fight. This one has a bar too. Cheater? What do you mean? I don't know I'm looking at. I should probably go try and kill something now. Let me try and familiarize myself with the bow. I'm gonna go with the bow right now. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So what we got? We have Dragon Piercer combo, whatever that is. Am I stupid? That doesn't feel like a combo, I'll tell you that. Wait. There are no combos. Is the concept of combos not real? Is this really just my moveset? Does that make this all button too? Does not make that all the way. Unless the tracer was gone. Does make that all the way. I don't really understand the point. But you know what? Maybe I'll let John was probably the one that was showing me this. Am I gonna have to learn on my own? Gross. Let's go out there and ruin somebody's hut. I'm kidding. I'm sure they'll be able to carry me. Let's go out there. So I can hit some mobs a little bit. See what's going on. Base camp. We're at Dubai and I'll do the ball. I want to play the ball. Even though I feel like, I don't know. Did bone weapons do anything? What are all these heads? They have different resistances, that's cute. I'm not reading none of that though. Those is going insane. Not that I'll never read any of it, but you know. It's a good meal. Has been 50 minutes. How do you skip? There we go. How do you skip that? Okay. Get some health and some stam. Now they need to let me join someone's SOS. Right now. Ah, yes. I don't know what these are. But you can see when they started it. Communication error? That's what I like to see. I love to see some communication errors. Especially because I need to open this thing. So I can get some items, because I almost forgot. What? Is it this one? I almost forgot the idea. Okay, now let's try it again. Host and join. I almost reached out to grab water. Yep.
Now commencing quest by order of the guild. A supply shipment's come in. Hope you find something useful.
Ah, yes. I've come to help with whatever's going on.
That looks like a good place to set up camp.
Where? I just got here. You can't be leaving already, dude. Well, actually, whoops.
The lightning has them amped up. Might be able to use them as a trap.
Oops. Oh, yeah. That's what I got on for, by the way. What am I looking for? I'm looking for something. Is it this? No, that's not what it is. Something's supposed to be burning the bar. Okay, there it is. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like they die pretty fast when you're jumping them. How do you use items again? There they are. Bloodstone. Potion. no. I just realized how, like, little jumping is in this game. How am I supposed to do the thing? Oh, you can't really see the moves. No, build the bar to be real. Okay, that's pretty fast. That means I have to try and solo, huh? Once I figure out how to leave. They're gonna let me leave too. Without returning to the title screen. There should be a take all button.
Understood. Hunt is on. Commencing quest now. Are you prepared? I can't see past my whiskers.
No fall
This will
damage.
help with this quest. Let's be sure to use them.
Oh, you shoot the tracers again? Which one's the tracer? There we go. Okay.
The terrain there. I think we can use it in combat.
I don't know if the tracer's on him. Oh, it's on his tail. I can't tell actually. Okay. So you put one on them. Now how do I do like stuff that's hitting? What is it? B? Yeah, it is B. Okay.
If we want to trap it, now's our chance!
How do I do that? I missed.
All ready when you are!
Did I miss roll?
That looks like a natural trap. Look out!
Oh, it's a close range one. Oh, my fault. My fault. My fault. I don't know, I thought you'd shoot something out.
More supplies have been added.
I really did too. Let's go back out there. That was my fault. But then again, I guess not knowing the move is like normal, right?
You're not taking me down!
What an eagle strike. That's from cooking him.
It's out cold! Now's our chance! Power up, activated!
Was that the move from last time? Are you gonna traps on the floor? How do you block?
Looks like it's moving to a new area!
Probably need that help. But I guess it's like that when you learn something new, right?
I gathered some materials too. Check your sacred's pouch.
Oh, he looked like he was waiting. Now just imagine he blasts you as soon as you come up over the dune. What makes them dive sometimes?
This had to put a dent in it. Look out!
What type of attack that is or how to dodge it. Why do you start attacking immediately? How do you do this dodge I was doing? Oh, there it is.
Heels inbound.
I feel like I'm having trouble hitting him. Is that an opening? I guess not. That time I see it, or saw it. Oh, what is that for blocking? It is for blocking. I'm hit by whatever the hell that is, huh? Yep. I'm dead? Why not? I'd be locked in animation. I'm probably swinging too much or something. I'm forever eating those hits.
Looks like it's moving to a new area.
I do appreciate the auto move. Sounds what we're doing, son.
Can I please not figure out any eyes like that anymore? You fucking play. I'm making you like shut it up now.
I don't know, he's asking me. Why is he asking me anything in the beta, bro? Oh, nah. Bro. What is this thing? I want you to be mine again, baby. That's so funny. My boys listening to TikTok jams. He got it. Do we have any more deaths left? I don't think we have any more deaths left. Oh, you don't have to sharpen it because it's a gun. I think I saw that for the bow last time. So that's for everything. Now what am I supposed to do while I ride around then?
Looks like the monster dropped something.
I feel like I had more fun on the, what is that? The heavy one. I gotta go look up what these things are doing. 'Cause I have no idea. This game has a lot of buttons, bro. Like a vicious amount of buttons. They playing. About to die. I didn't realize he was on top of it. Not too far. You have to kind of be touching the monster low key, or else you get ones. Or maybe you have to shoot in the mouth. They did it. They did it.
This thing's a trove of new data.
I'll tell you what though, that wasn't as fun as the other one. That's the heavy bow gun. I wonder what the big difference between the lance and the gun lance is. Like, if one lance has a gun on it, why would you ever choose the non-gun lance? Hmm? I forgot you're just free to travel in this one, huh? You don't have to start a quest to start a quest. You can really just start walking.
This must be how the wind feels.
I wonder how many zones we'll get. The starting one will send you straight. Isn't there a map? Your quest counter moves around.
I'm happy to help anyone.
What a solid experience.
Let's have another hunt with no surprises today.
Got my stuff.
Those supplies will help with this quest. Let's be sure to use them.
It tells you about what's in the area. Is that what I'm looking at? Oh, it's Sungu's tail. Ooh. Oh, whoops. You know what's crazy? It doesn't look very, what's the word for it? It doesn't look like it's attacking when it turns around. Oh, whoops. Does the yellow mean that I'm hitting the right spot?
I'm
can block that too. I'm just getting cooked. Hey bro, having fun? I am. How you doing? I'm trying all the weapons. Cause the other one I only use the I only use that other thing. I only use the glaive. And they used to have the bounce, but they said they're gonna add the bounce back in the real game. The bounce isn't here. I've been like trying out all the other weapons. Oh, I've got some openings. I'm having trouble hitting it on. Okay, it's it looks like the little attack force kind of buttons. But then again, I guess being able to block has got to be worth something. Yeah, I can't hit its face. Okay, there we go. I'm fine, thanks. You can lock on enemies? Bro, I haven't been able to lock on enemies. I was literally asking about that. And someone told me to stop being scrubby. Can you lock on enemies? Because, like, it lets me, like, you know, like, toggle on them a little bit, right? But I can't, like, stay locked. Which is what I want. That's right, sir. Will it stay on him? Bro, you're not serious. Is it because I keep slightly moving my stick? Because I was hitting the left bumper button. But it wasn't like locking hard. You know what I mean? And the right stick's not locking hard like I wanted to. Yeah, I'm getting like soft lock though, which is not bad. But I want some like hard locking. No diddy. This weapon's not so bad. I wonder if there's something like big I can do after blocking. You could really just miss though. Okay, that's gotta be... How do you do the move again? There we go. We got them on the ground. Give them. Oh no, it knocked me out. I tried to charge the move. almost got hit. It looks like you can charge one of those moves. I'm trying to block, I'm trying to block. I'm facing the wrong way. This weapon's fine. What other weapon did I bring with me? The big gun? I'm not sure that one. I think that one's fine. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way.
Mind if I hop on?
Oh, I can look through my webs. We'll get some new stuff. I could drink a small pot, right? I guess I didn't have to.
Hop off for now.
Oh, I missed. I'm sorry. Does that not works? Okay. Now this is the gameplay I came for. I missed? I did miss. I haven't gone to tilt too hard. How do I guard with Y and B? Okay, well he's got one on his face. How do I change ammo? Oh, I reload. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the gun lance. This is not the one with the flamethrower?
Leave this to me. Heels inbound.
Did I miss? Or did it hit? It missed. Oh wait, I can guard that, yeah? How do I get more big boy ammo? Oh, you get it by attacking. I missed again. Oh, did I not bring any other ammo? Is that why? I swear it was letting me swap ammo before. Okay, we getting rinsed. Did I bring? I should have brought some antidote, huh? Oh yeah, it has the antidote. There we go. Oh, I swapped the weapon. Yeah, there we go. Let's get the lance back in the hand. There we go. You know what? I feel like the upper stabs are doing more damage, I feel like. What's the power guard? Guard dash? What the hell?
Looks like
Oh, we got him. Let's go. And the choosing for you might be off of mouse and keyboard. I hate shooting controllers. Yo, you saw what it looked like then. It looked like garbage, right? Yeah. You know what? No, I'm just gonna press immediately. We're not farming nothing in the beta. I'm here to swing with every weapon. That monster wasn't hard though. I'm glad they got me some easy monster. Pussycat Getter goes hard. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Okay, that was pretty fun. That was pretty fun. I like being able to block. I didn't think I'd like being able to block like that, but I like being able to block. Bring the gun lance, and we did the whole cannon. We tried all these ranged ones, to be honest. Did I try the switch axe? I did, but I didn't really try. And I like used the hunting horn a little bit, but I wasn't having fun. To try it again. Because we're in the beta, right? I can try anything that I want. Because afterwards it'll take time to try stuff because you'll have to like craft it again, you know what I mean? You have to craft an appropriate weapon. Now let's try the whatever this is. Let's try this one. But the bow has the little tracer things. And with the tracer things, then you can like shoot the tracer once and then all your attacks will home. Oh wait. I think I have to eat at the start of every quest. Okay, thank you guys for your help. Yo, there's a lot of animation locking in this game, dude. Like, a lot of it. I'm stepping out the thing, bro. Just put me out. Teleport me straight out. I don't want to watch my character walk out. Now, what is that one? That's the worm? I haven't fought a worm out of it.
That might be a good place to set up camp.
Oh man, that thing has a whole bunch of bars. You don't see that on the left side? At the top left, there's a whole bunch of bars. Not in a bad way, obviously. Like, that's the good stuff. Not that I'll be learning any of it. But maybe I'll try playing the long blade now. Like, I think 40% of the player base plays long blade.
There! That's our target!
Ooh! Ooh! Oh, you're attacking the boy. Hold up. This junk's moving. Oh, wait, hold up. Okay, it's not letting me do anything, right? But, like, you see the vision, though.
This'll freshen you up quick! Careful you don't get sucked in!
I'm dead. I'm dead. Oh. Oh yeah, that goes hard. Oh yeah, what is that? I like whatever that is. Oh, it hit me for real. I'm finished. I don't know what that is, so I'm just gonna wait. Can I reload? I don't see the reload button. Oh, I gotta... Oh wait, he left me. Hey, yo, come back. I like the little brrr, though. It's pretty cute. What other weapon did I bring? How do you play music again? I'm touching him. I don't know what touch him with, but I definitely touched him with something. Let me get some of that.
Now's our chance! Another monster's horning in.
I don't know. This feels okay. I feel like it doesn't feel as good as the dual blades. Dual blades feel really good. Let me see. What is Sonic Waves? How do I play Sonic Waves? Okay, we're about to play Sonic Waves song. I'm getting pieced. Release me. I apologize. Oh, you can see how long you have on the buffs if you hold left bumper. It shows a little, what's the name of this thing? It shows a little, like, clock. Is he leaving me? Looks like he's leaving me. At least it's got some range, I'm in. Okay, I lied. Because why'd that miss immediately? I'm dead. Okay. I can't hit him. Piece of me. Oh yeah. No, stop leaving me. There we go. Okay, that was kind of buns. Oh wait, am I supposed to do something during that maybe? I think I'm supposed to do something during that. Was that a focus move? Is he leaving? No. I'm gonna do something. Put my weapon away. No! I can't put my weapon away. I'm cooked. Let's go ahead and heal. You know, I think I kind of like this horn. Oh, I'm out of heals? It's a good thing that they periodically send you some. I'm hit by that. Oh, I like. I'm hit by that. I see little sparks when I hit him sometimes. I'm hit by that. I think my character is tanky or something. Okay, I got hit.
More supplies have been added.
What does Echo Wave Blunt mean anyway? I think I'm... Let me walk out of there first. The way that it be missing be setting me off, dude. Because why doesn't it want to attack in the direction of the enemy, you know what I mean? Dare I say, this self-improvement buff might be about it. Am I trolling? This doesn't feel so bad. Now, where's my mob? Is now take me to the place while I set up the weapon. Why is he running in circles? Oh, it's because it's under me, yeah? Any new items? I'll drink one. I'll just miss. No melt? Oh, it's tired. I think I'm doing damage. It feels like I'm doing damage, I'll tell you that. Oh, I didn't even realize I was low. I should drink to that. That boy.
Almost there.
Landing the hit. Where'd he go? He left again? The thing is, I feel like I didn't get a lot of wounds, though. Wait, like, I feel like I didn't get, like, a lot of the special hits. Is that for bladed weapons only? Oh, there's an attack up song I wasn't using. How about that? But we did it to him. Oh, blasted though. You know what? I didn't die during this one. I tried to roll. Yeah, I didn't die during this one. And I feel like, nah, I burned a lot of potions actually. I almost just got up and told a lie. I would say I feel like I didn't burn that many potions either, but I did. I burned a lot of potions actually. I actually ate potion after potion. What's the other weapon I bought? I bought the gun, I think? No. I bought the switch axe or something, but I didn't really use it. The gun lance? No. The gun lance was enjoyable. I didn't really use it, but it was enjoyable. I feel like my favorite's low-key the dual blades. I feel like they attack them a lot. My favorite's actually the glaive. It's easily the glaive, actually. Because I think it's the only one jumping around. And it's easy my favorite. Oh... It's weird having like two lances to choose from, two what is this thing? Two axes to choose from, two bow guns to choose from. It's so weird. It's so weird. Yeah, but I think the most fun I had, besides with the glaive is the most fun weapon. Jumping around's gotta be unmatched in a game like this, where you're not allowed to jump for real. We should probably eat before we go anywhere, right?
Are you prepared?
Oh, well, I guess we already full, but nothing can go wrong if you eat. There's to skip, too. And then, is there anything else I need? Oh, yeah, the items. I ain't gonna lie, they need to, whoops, I'm missing something. No mega potions. Yo, I thought this was a creature, bro. Now, what did I bring with me? Dual blades and hammer. I don't think I've used the hammer that much. Low-key, we're gonna put on the dualies. I feel like you could spam. Then again, you could probably get more out of it if you... How am I supposed to get points again? It's not with this button. It's in demon mode, maybe? Yeah, there it goes. Whoops, dead. And now that we're out of mode, now we can use our buttons. Some charge on them, right? Okay, I got hit.
Leave this to me. Heels inbound.
He's jumping around too much. I'm hit by that. I lied. I can't move because of the bodies, dude. Bodies are in the way. These bodies are cooking it, dude. Ooh! Wait, can you just... Whoa! Everything does damage! Okay, I got it. Everything does damage while you have bar. Everything.
You can carve materials off of small monsters as well. Don't get shaken off!
Hey, where'd Miz come from? I was cooking him just fine. I had it. Now, where's my other weapon? Let's see, he's here. Hammer time. I got cooked. I'm dead. Okay. Every time I see some funny stuff, I just assume I'm gonna get hit. I'm hit by that. Okay. It wasn't aimed at me. Oh, I can just walk around and charge. Yeah, I can just walk around and charge. That's crazy.
Looks like it's moving to a new area.
And there's so many spots where you can actually get damage. I'll be honest, I don't like it. It is a lot more fun to just go rolling around. It's kind of nice to have the other one up. And the ability to pick up stuff while you're like flying around.
I'll see you back at camp.
Yeah, I was wondering if that would hit me. Oh, that hit me though. I walked into the end of it. Big beeps. Hey, did it stand into glass because it got hot? No, it was some work done. Good luck, have fun. Good luck. See you soon, brother. Let's get hit by everything. I should drink. Oh, we're hit. That's good. So what's the point? Go into demon mode and then take and then get out of it? That was so cheese. Oh, he's already on him. I'm hit by that. Nope. These skits are rotating, dude. Oh, what a mess, dude. I guess you gotta try and hit him in the face, yeah? They're kinda hard to hit in the face.
Don't forget, you can carve materials from severed parts.
Okay, the hammer's got the funny sling. It's got the funny sling. That's kinda edible. Wow. Oh, that's tragic. You're moving too mad. That was not on purpose, bro. It's funny how you can put some stuff like in queue where it'll happen the moment it's available, and other stuff you just can't. It really is this. And sometimes you can hit. I'm hit. Yep. I'd be stuck in animation. Oh. I thought my health bar blinked, so I thought it was going to be a big one. What's he about to do? I'm hit. No, I'm not. They got me. I wonder. I feel like I'm burning through pots. Hey. Ugh. Ugh. Stuff that moves you keeps you from having to have that A button. Now, fuck, the A button doesn't even have iframes anyway. I won't be in 20 minutes. I know that's not possible. That junk is not getting done in no 20, bro. That is the truth of it. Unless I join someone else who's doing it. No, that's not soloable. I'm pretty sure I saw something where some dude soloed it with every weapon. That's not me though. Really, I might even call it quits now. So, do just that too.